Hi everyone, this is Nichol Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another STAMPtember 2021 video to share with you, this time with the Colorado Craft Company Life Happens stamp set. This is an exclusive limited edition stamp set for STAMPtember 2021. There is both the individual stamp set available and then there is a stamp die combo for this awesome set. And yes, we are getting some Anita Jerem images from Colorado Craft Company for the STAMPtember set this year, which I absolutely love. If you are a member of my channel, you've probably seen me use the Anita Jerem images from C3 quite a bit. And I love them, and I love that these images will really work with other sets you might already own. They are the very popular mice. These mice all have some chocolate treats and things, and I think they will work really, really well with a lot of the other images and sets out there. So that is incredible because you can really kind of open it up to all kinds of different cards. I am starting with a 3.5 by 8.5 inch panel of Bristol smooth cardstock, and I have kind of laid out the images that I want to use, and I am going to stamp these first with Fawn Jellyfish No Line Coloring Ink. We're going to be doing no line coloring today and no masking. You guys know if I don't have to mask, I won't. And so this is one of my very favorite ways to instantly create a really fun scene without the addition of masking. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our images. We're going to draw in a pencil line for like the countertop or the floor. You can kind of imagine it however you want to. And then we're going to stencil a brick background, which could be a brick backsplash, a brick wall. It's one of my go-to stencils that I use over and over again because it's just so versatile. So I have stamped 3 of the mice images, which actually gives me 4 mice because one of those images has 2. There's 5 mice in all, or 4 mice images in this stamp set. 2 individual chocolate images, which we're going to use both of those. And then there's 3 different sentiments in this set. Life happens, chocolate helps. That is a true story. Wishing you the sweetest birthday ever, which is what I ended up using for my card, and thanks a chocolate for all that you do. I think these sentiments are amazing and can be used all of the time. Next, I am going to just very, very lightly take a T-square ruler and my pencil and lightly draw in a line. So I just tried to avoid the images. It looks like I accidentally drew through the center of one of my mice, but that's okay. And that gives me, like I said, that can be the floor, that can be the counter, whatever you want to imagine. Now, I started with a pretty big panel, or a panel the size of a slimline card. I ended up trimming it down to 3.25 by 8.25, which is going to leave me with a nice white border all the way around the perimeter of my background panel. So that's what I'm doing here, is just trimming it down a bit. I've also stamped my chocolates. And then I masked off the countertop. I'm going to call it the countertop, but it can be whatever you want it to be. It's your story. And I am going to then take the Fawn brick stencil. There are brick stencils from so many of our favorite companies right now. I particularly am fond of this one. You guys know I am a huge Fawn fan. And all I'm going to do is just kind of shift my stencil across the panel, avoiding the images as much as possible. I am using Distress ink in pumice stone, which is a very nice light kind of beigey gray. And the reason that I didn't mask these off, 1, we're using Bristol smooth cardstock, which is my preferred cardstock for Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. Distress ink is a water-based ink. Zig markers are water-based markers. So anything that overlaps my images, you can see there's some bricking and things in a couple of my mice. I'm going to be able to color over that and disguise it as long as my marker color is darker. With water-based inks, they generally play nice together, meaning it's going to kind of move the ink around, spread it out, cover it up, whatever you want to do. I zoomed in the camera a bit, and while I have sped up the coloring a touch, I also left it a little bit slower. You guys know we're doing premieres most of this month. Not every release. I've needed a couple breaks here and there, but most nights I'm with you at midnight Eastern for the premiere. And I know that the chats can be fast and furious. Spreading this out serves two purposes. For the chat, it gives us a little more time to visit and for me to answer any questions, or for us to talk about different things that we're doing in this card or for STAMPtember. And two, I know I have had a lot of requests from you all to slow down coloring when it's applicable, which if I'm not creating more than one card, I've really been trying to remember to keep that part of the video slower and not always speed it up, because a lot of you really enjoy the coloring process. As always, if you want to skip on to the end and catch the finishing touches for this card, you can definitely do that. But for this particular card design, the coloring really is kind of the star of the show. This is a flat card. It's completely one layer. That means it's going to be super easy to pop in the mail. There's nothing bulky about it, so it's going to be nice and flat. I love trying to find ways to make my cards appear to have dimension, so it has lots of layers, but still remain fairly flat, or in this case, completely flat. Here is a really good demonstration of coloring over the bricked stencil. While I try to avoid the images as much as possible, sometimes it's just really hard without masking. But as I add my mid-brown and beige over the top, it really just kind of disappears. And our little mouse takes center stage, and you can go over that as much as you need to. Little pink haze for the insides of the cheeks and for the insides of the ears. And then, of course, so important, grab a black detail pen, draw in the whiskers, draw in the nose, mouth, and eyes. When you do that, the cute little mice come to life. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And it's almost completely hidden at this point, but they're holding up a chocolate, which we will color in here in just a minute, which also adds to the color and fun of this design. And then I didn't think my coloring was very smooth there, so I'm just going back over it. Such cute images. Okay, for the wrapper, I decided there's a lot of neutrals on this card. We've got neutrals for our backsplash, we'll have neutrals for our counter, neutrals for our mice. Let's add some pops of color. The wrapper for this chocolate, I'm using turquoise green and a green shadow. And then we'll do a little chocolate inside, and then like the little cherry on top will be a red. I also got some bricking here on the countertop. I'd already removed my Post-it tape when I realized I'd missed that spot in between the mice with my stencil and had gone back in with it. So what I'm going to do is just color over that as well. That is platinum brown. I know I've mentioned this every time I use it. Platinum brown to me is not brown, it's gray. So I'm using platinum brown and gray tint for the countertop. And you will notice that I am not going to do perfect coloring here. I'm going to try to smooth it out from like the top down towards the bottom of the panel, but I'm going to do kind of a messy coloring and not be super, I won't fill in the whole thing, I guess, if you will. Gives it a little bit more of a realistic look. So let's color in that chocolate. And for this, I'm going to use a deeper brown. This is deep brown. And I'll also use mid brown for this. I want it to be a little bit darker than the mice. I should also mention that if you don't want to have any stenciling on your images, you can definitely mask them if you want to, or if you pick up the stamp die combo, you can stamp them on a separate piece of paper and then just pop them in place on whatever kind of scene you want, which definitely eliminates the need for any masking as well. It's really just personal preference what you like to do. Now I felt like I was missing some detail in my mice, so I'm actually going to go in with deep brown now and just deepen and darken some places on my mice. You can smooth them out with mid brown and beige if you want to, or you can leave them as is. We're going to color the mouse holding the long skinny candy next. All of my mice are mid brown and beige with pink haze for the insides of the ears and cheeks, with a little deep brown for deepening and darkening some of those shadows and things on the image. And then for the candy, again, I want a bright pop of color, so we're going to do bright pink. And I didn't even bother to get rid of my pencil line through the middle of the mouse. It's going to be easy to color over it because I made sure and used a really, really light hand when drawing in my line. I don't ever want it to be kind of to show up a whole lot, I guess I should say. I love that the mice are all holding candies and chocolates or staring dreamily at them. I think it's so funny. So here is our third mouse. Just going to deepen and darken a couple little areas before grabbing my black pen, drawing in the whiskers, the nose, the mouth, and the eye. We're going to trace out the candy with peach pink and sugared almond pink. And then we're going to go in with carmine red and draw in some stripes to give the candy wrapper a little bit more interest. So even using the pinks over the bricked background there, we're going to get fantastic results. And just like when I'm coloring like scarves or hats or clothing for critters especially, or people images, but a lot of times I do use critters. I love adding some extra interest. So this is achieved by just kind of going in and drawing these stripes, and instantly it makes the candy wrapper a little bit more fun. Isn't that cute? Then I'm just going to kind of blend out the ends of the wrapper a little bit. So we're going to move back to these two chocolates over here that I colored, and I'm going to color in the chocolatey part with deep brown and mid brown or beige. And then the stripes, I was kind of imagining the stripes around them as red, decorative, and I am going to do those with carmine red and light carmine. That again adds a nice little pop of color to our design. And the markers just blend like butter on this Bristol smooth cardstock. I'm going to do both of these candies exactly the same. So again, we're going to grab our deep brown and our mid brown or beige and color that. I think I used mid brown, not beige. So mid brown and deep brown. And then carmine red and light carmine. Now there are some sets from the Colorado Craft Company that feature like coffee, tea, and they all have mice images. So imagine mixing and matching those with this set. If you already own some of those other sets, you could create custom, really fun cards because again, the same illustrator did all of these images, and so it would be really fun to mix and match the different sets together. As I work my way across the panel, I'm also going to keep adding to my countertop, being sure to try to smooth out the ink as much as possible. Look at that, it's coming to life. I love it. I do think maybe adding some extra images from some of the stamp sets, if you wanted to maybe do a little bit of masking, or if you just want to use the stamps and coordinating dies, I think you could add a lot kind of back behind these mice, maybe teacups or coffee pot or little images here and there, I think would be really, really fun. So we're coloring in our final mouse now. Again, same colors as always. I love that this one is laying there staring dreamily at candy, or the candy the other mouse is holding. But you could just as easily put this guy maybe in some grass and have him staring at something else. So he is super versatile because this image does not, you know, have any candy with it. So definitely consider using that with some of the other sets you might already own. And I'm a huge Colorado Craft Company fan. I love their stamps. I love their products. Very, very cute and very fun. So we're just going back now with deep brown, and I'm gonna just add a little detailing. Looking good, so cute. We have one piece of candy and a little sentiment to stamp, and we're gonna be done. Gonna add in the detail. I like to kind of draw in a little bit more detailed nose with my black pen, and then all the little whiskers and things. And then we're going to do the candy wrapper for the second little chocolate here. We're going to do the chocolate itself with our deep brown and mid brown. And then I'm going to just kind of imagine that it has a lighter chocolate layer on top. We're going to put some little red sprinkles. And then, of course, draw in our paper liner. But before I do that, since it is quite, it's obviously more colorful than anything else touching it, I'm going to go ahead and use my platinum brown and gray tint to shade in the rest of the countertop. And then I will add the deeper, darker color. If I'm using a deeper, darker color, I try to not let it touch. You can see I accidentally touched that red. Red is just the worst. If you lay red down first and then take a lighter color, I always seem to touch it with the tip of my marker. I'm able to disguise it pretty well. It happens. But I generally try not to color anything red first. It's always last. So again, we want to pull some turquoise green and green shadow into this other wrapper for consistency and for a pop of color. And that's going to be it for the coloring. Now we're simply going to add a simple stamped sentiment and then some heart accents, because you guys know me. I felt like my card needed some red heart accents. I'm also adding additional shadows underneath my mice, underneath the chocolate wrappers, all that stuff sitting on the counter. That's with platinum brown. I'm just kind of drawing in darker lines. You can blend it out with gray tint a little if you need to, but the darkening or darker areas here just add a lot of added interest to this cute scene. Very, very easy coloring. I am blending out some of the harsher lines, but you can still see that shadow really nicely. Now for my sentiment, I know I mentioned when I was reading the sentiments, I decided to go the birthday route. This is wishing you the sweetest birthday ever. I really love that we have seen some stamp sets this STAMPtember that are not fall or Christmas related. They could be used any time of the year. I know if you're like me, we're always making birthday cards, so I really love that. Then I added some little heart accents all over the card and I finished the design. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Colorado Craft Company STAMPtember card featuring the exclusive limited edition Life Happens stamp set. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring STAMPtember products that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.